Hey everybody, this is Professor Jason Snart. I am your instructor for English 1102 online here in the 8-week format. I'm just recording this little informal introduction. I'm in my nicely appointed office. It's like 80 degrees in here. It's hot outside and it's hot inside, so if there's noise in the background, it's a fan that's keeping it at least a little bit tolerable. Anyway, I wanted to welcome you to the course, and I am just going to open up our course here and point to a couple of different things going on. So you'll see a little early welcome message below this. So I opened the course up, I think yesterday, Sunday. But now the term has officially started, so of course we're officially underway here as well. The first and maybe most important thing that you really need to do before jumping into the units, which is where all our work is going to be, or getting too deep into any one of these particular folders, is to really try to get a sense for the lay of the land generally. So where is information in terms of grading, work to be done, due dates within our course menu, how are things set up? You'll see that the units and the due dates are of course tied together, so you just want to get, without drilling too deep into all of that, is to really get a sense of how the course is put together in that big picture kind of a thing before you get too immersed in what's going on. But once you do get that kind of broader perspective, you'll obviously want to look at the orientation piece, the Read Me First piece. There's a little video that walks you through our course that's not, maybe it doesn't look identical to our course, but I think it's close enough that you'll get a sense again of sort of how the pieces work together. Within the orientation, there's also some material about how to be a successful online learner that's important for you to look through, and you'll notice a little orientation quiz after all that material. Very straightforward, but again, making sure that you're staying sort of focused on task and looking through this really basic information before we get started with any of the more focused English 1102 stuff. So you have the orientation to look through, and then if you click into the due dates, you'll see due dates, of course. Our first unit is the introductions unit. It's due Thursday, August 28th, and then of course you can see how the rest of our units break down for our 8-week term. Keep in mind that we move basically twice as fast as we would in the 16-week format, so there's often, a lot of work to do within the units. Some of it's reading and writing, so it's not all sort of within Blackboard kind of stuff. Often the units come fairly close together, so there's a pretty quick turnaround. So for these 8 weeks, you really have to sort of focus and be conscious of managing your time effectively to be successful in the class. You'll notice that, of course, the due dates each correspond with these units that we work through. First introductions, and then once we kind of get a little bit familiar with the course and with each other, we move into really more the content piece of it. We start using the textbook pretty soon, so be sure you get a hold of that. You can find that information, of course, in our Blackboard course. I have it that I can hold up for you really quickly. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but it's green. It's the Norton Introduction to Literature. It's a custom edition for our class particularly, so you'll see my name and the COD name on it. I just chose the works that would go in there. I didn't write any of them or anything like that. But it's specific to our course here, so make sure you get the correct edition, probably through the COD bookstore or directly through the publisher. Because it's a custom edition, it's not going to be available through Amazon or other ways that you might have bought more generic textbooks before. Okay, so again, get a sense of the big picture, work through that orientation material, and then ultimately get into our first unit, which is really just having you introduce yourself. To me, of course, but also to the group. So one of the things that I'm really conscious of in our online environment is how disengaging or isolating it can sometimes feel. I'm here in my office, you're wherever you are. We might be scattered across the county, across Illinois, across really, the country, even internationally for some people. So it's easy to lose that sense of like this group of people who are working in a course together. And so one of the things that I really like to foster in the hopes of improving your sense of engagement with the course is the feeling that you're really in a class with other people who you're interacting with and you're kind of generating ideas with, and just having the same kind of experience, basically working through the course rather than just you out there somewhere communicating via email or whatever with just a disembodied person, me, on the other end of it. So really that sense of like presence or personality within the whole endeavor. So we focus pretty heavily on the start then with a couple of different modes of introduction. You're building a home page in Blackboard. There's lots of instruction about how to do it step by step. So hopefully is relatively simple to follow, even if it's not something you think you're good at or have done before. And then an assignment that kind of duplicates that, and I'm aware of that it does. The discussion board piece has you introducing yourself again, so don't just reiterate exactly what you'd said in the home page, but you are duplicating the introduction part. But what I'm having you do then is also get used to using the discussion board feature, which is going to figure centrally in our course, and if you've never done it before, it's useful to have right at the start a fairly informal, low-stakes opportunity to use the tool that's going to be one of the staples throughout our course. So it's important that you have that experience, even though it does duplicate a little bit in terms of you feel like you're introducing yourself twice a little bit, but I'm aware of that and it's kind of intentional. Anyway, if you have questions about the course, about anything, whether it's really minute stuff or big picture stuff, be sure to be in touch with me. All my contact info is listed in the Professor Snart link. There's my email, of course, my office, but you probably won't need that. But also there's a way to get in touch with me through Skype, which is really good for doing video, doing audio, also just instant messaging back and forth, so really kind of quick communication if we're both online at the same time. So if you don't use that, I recommend it. And if you do, then look me up and we can connect as contacts for this semester, or for at least our piece of the semester. Okay, so the other thing that I want to say, and I'll try to keep this brief, but I want this to be at the forefront of your mind as we start, but always keep it kind of at the back in terms of a broad idea about everything that we do, whether it's discussion boards, essays, whatever. Always think about the work that you do for class as a means by which you can show me, when I read that essay or that discussion board post or whatever it happens to be, that you get the class concept that we're covering in whatever that unit might be. So if you take a history course, and I'll simplify things a lot, you learn a bunch of dates or facts in class, online, whatever, and then you do an assessment like a test, and you choose the right A, B, C, D, or you write in the right answer. There's a really close connection between the classwork and then the assessment part, you showing the prof that you get it, you can get the right answers. For some reason, that close connection, often students lose it in an English course. So we do a bunch of stuff online, and then you write an essay, and I'm reading these essays that don't conform at all to the exercises that we've done throughout the units, for example. So all of a sudden, that connection between coursework, face-to-face or online or whatever, coursework and assessment totally breaks down. So that's what I want you to keep really be conscious of throughout the term, that when you write an essay, when you do a discussion board post, what I'm looking for isn't some magical, mystical thing, right, that you either just know because you're good at English or not. It's very specifically the application of the course concepts that we've learned, so I can see, just like I'd see if you were bubbling in a Scantron test, a multiple choice test, that you either get or you don't get what we've been talking about. So in other words, the grading for this course and the connection between coursework and assessment is meant to be as objective as possible, as clearly it's right or it's wrong. There's not a lot of gray area and there's no real mystery about what we're doing. Hopefully that transparency makes it a much better experience for you because you have a really clear set of expectations. But you can always be thinking in terms of those, like, what's expected of me, Well, in this essay, we're applying the concepts that we've learned in the coursework. Again, it also makes some of the smaller scale things that we do make sense in terms of building up to these larger point value essays. So it doesn't feel like just busy work, just filling the time, just like, what am I even doing this for? It's all building course concepts that you can then show me in those higher stakes testing situations, writing an essay, for example, that you understand and can apply successfully those concepts. So think about that as a big idea right up front, and always keep it kind of in the back of your mind as we move progressively through our course. Okay, so that's probably a lot to think about right off the bat. Certainly a lot to get oriented to within Blackboard, and then our first due date is coming up just in a couple days. So work to be done already. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the course, and if you have questions or concerns or whatever, be in touch with me sooner rather than later. And I look forward to meeting everybody.